Jake Thompson stared at his laptop screen, refreshing his email for the 10th time that morning. His savings account was looking as empty as his apartment's second bedroom, and if he didn't find a roommate soon, he'd have to move back in with his parents. At 28, that wasn't exactly the life plan he'd imagined. The software development job paid well enough, but living in the downtown area of the city meant rent prices that could make anyone's wallet cry. He'd been living alone for 6 months after his previous roommate moved out to get married, and the financial reality was finally catching up with him. His phone buzzed with a notification, a response to his roommate advertisement. Jake opened the message, expecting another inquiry about whether pets were allowed or if the place had a dishwasher. Instead, he found something different. Double quotes. "Hello, Jake. I am interested in your living arrangement. I'm a quiet person who keeps to myself. I can pay first month's rent and deposit immediately. I travel frequently for work, so I would not be around much. Please let me know if we can arrange a meeting." Luna Jake blinked at the screen. No questions about amenities, no requests for photos, no haggling about price. It's just straightforward interest and an offer to pay up front. In today's rental market, that was practically a miracle. He quickly typed back, suggesting they meet at a coffee shop near his apartment that afternoon. Within minutes, Luna replied with a simple agreed. "I will be there at 3 p.m. Jake spent the rest of the morning tidying up his apartment just in case things went well and she wanted to see the place. He wasn't sure what to expect. Her messages were polite but formal, almost like she was writing a business email rather than casual texts. At the coffee shop, Jake found himself checking his watch every few minutes. 3 o'clock came and went. He was starting to think he'd been stood up when someone approached his table. "Are you Jake?" He looked up and nearly forgot how to speak. The woman standing before him was unlike anyone he'd ever seen. Her hair was an unusual silver color that seemed to shimmer under the coffee shop's lights. Her eyes were the most striking feature. They appeared violet from one angle, but when she tilted her head, they looked almost golden. Her skin had a flawless, almost luminous quality that made her seem like she'd stepped out of a fantasy. "Movie? Yes, that's me," Jake managed, standing up quickly and nearly knocking over his chair. "You must be Luna," she nodded, extending her hand for a handshake. Her grip was firm but oddly cool, and Jake noticed she held the handshake a moment longer than usual, as if she was studying the gesture itself. "I apologize for my lateness. I had difficulty locating this establishment," she said, her voice carrying a slight accent he couldn't quite place. "Eastern European, maybe? Or Scandinavian?" "Problem at all," Jake said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Would you like to get something to drink?" Luna sat down gracefully, her posture perfectly straight. "I do not require anything at all. This time, thank you." Jake found himself fascinated by the way she spoke. Every word was pronounced clearly, with an almost musical quality. She seemed to choose her words carefully, as if English wasn't her first language, though her grammar was flawless. "So you mentioned you travel for work?" Jake asked, settling back into his chair. "Yes, I am a cultural consultant," Luna replied. "I study different societies and their customs. My work requires me to observe and document various human behaviors and social patterns." "That sounds interesting. What kind of cultures do you study?" Luna paused, her unusual eyes seeming to shift color in the afternoon light. "I focus on contemporary urban societies, particularly their daily routines, social interactions, and living arrangements. Your culture is quite fascinating in its complexity." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Your culture? Are you not from around here?" "I am from very far away," Luna said simply. "I have been in this city for approximately 6 months, conducting my research." They talked for another hour, though Jake found himself doing most of the talking. Luna asked thoughtful questions about his job, his daily routine, and his living situation. She seemed genuinely curious about mundane details that most people would find boring. "I work from home most days," Jake explained. "Software development doesn't require much face-to-face interaction. I'm pretty quiet, keep regular hours, and I'm not much of a party person. That sounds ideal, Luna said. I also prefer quiet environments. I often work unusual hours due to the nature of my research, but I am not disruptive. When Jake mentioned the apartment's amenities, Luna's questions were oddly specific. She asked about the kitchen's ventilation system, the apartment's insulation, and whether the building had good soundproofing. She seemed particularly interested in the bedroom's privacy and whether it had blackout curtains. The second bedroom gets great natural light during the day, Jake offered. But if you prefer it darker, we could definitely get better curtains. Darkness is preferable for my work, Luna said. I often need to analyze data and rest during daylight hours. Jake found her quirks endearing rather than concerning. She was clearly intelligent and well-educated, even if she was a bit eccentric. When she pulled out an envelope containing first month's rent and security deposit in cash, Jake decided he'd found his new roommate. Are you sure you don't want to see the place first? He asked. Luna shook her head. I trust your description. When may I move in? Whenever you're ready, I guess. Tomorrow? Tomorrow would be acceptable. Jake walked home feeling like he'd just won the lottery. Luna seemed perfect, quiet, clean, financially responsible, and she traveled frequently for work. What more could he ask for in a roommate? The next day, Luna arrived with only 2 large suitcases and several sealed containers that she claimed contained specialized equipment for her research. Jake offered to help, but she politely declined, handling everything herself with surprising strength. I prefer to organize my own belongings, she explained. I have a very specific system. Over the following weeks, Jake discovered that Luna was indeed the ideal roommate. She was incredibly tidy, never left dishes in the sink, and was so quiet. He sometimes forgot she was home. Her cooking, however, was unusual. She seemed to subsist on a diet of strange combinations, raw vegetables mixed with what looked like glittering powder, teas that changed color when she stirred them, and fruits Jake had never seen before. Where do you shop for food? He asked. One evening, watching her prepare what appeared to be a salad that somehow glowed faintly in the dim kitchen light. I have special suppliers, Luna replied. My dietary requirements are quite specific due to my research. I hope the aromas do not disturb you. Not at all, Jake said, though he had to admit her meals smelled like nothing he'd ever encountered. Somehow floral and metallic at the same time, Luna's work schedule was as irregular as she'd warned. She would disappear for days at a time, returning with new notebooks filled with observations written in symbols Jake couldn't recognize. She claimed it was a specialized notation system for her research. Their evening conversations became Jake's favorite part of the day. Luna would ask him about his work, his relationships, his dreams and fears. She seemed genuinely fascinated by every aspect of human experience, though she rarely shared details about her own life. Do you have family back home? Jake asked one evening as they sat on the couch watching a documentary about marine life. My family is very far away, Luna said, her voice carrying a note of sadness. I miss them, but my work here is important. I am learning so much about your people. Your people. Luna's eyes widened slightly, as if she'd said something wrong. I mean, people from this region. The cultural differences between my homeland and here are quite significant. Jake noticed she did this often, speaking as if she was observing humans from the outside rather than being one herself. He chalked it up to her being a cultural researcher. Anthropologists probably developed that kind of analytical distance from their subjects. As weeks turned into months, Jake found himself looking forward to Luna's return from her research trips. She had a calming presence that made their apartment feel more like a home. Her questions about human behavior, though sometimes oddly phrased, showed a genuine curiosity about the world around her. But lately, Jake had noticed changes in Luna's behavior. She seemed more restless, checking her phone constantly and marking dates on a calendar with symbols he didn't recognize. She'd started wearing long sleeves even in warm weather. No. And sometimes he caught her staring at herself in mirrors with an expression he couldn't quite read. Is everything okay? He asked one evening, finding her standing by the window, gazing up at the night sky. Yes, she said quickly, but her voice carried a tension he'd never heard before. I am simply anticipating an important date in my research calendar. Anything I can help with? Luna turned to look at him, and for a moment, Jake could have sworn her eyes flashed with an inner light. You are very kind, Jake, but this is something I must handle alone. As Jake went to bed that night, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Luna's mysterious work had always been just that, mysterious. But now there was an urgency to her behavior that made him wonder what exactly she was researching, and why she seemed so worried about whatever was coming next. Little did Jake know that Luna's research was about to take a dramatic turn, and there comfortably. Jake woke up to the sound of humming coming from Luna's room. It wasn't unusual for her to be up early, but this was different. The sound was almost musical, like wind chimes mixed with a soft melody he'd never heard before. He checked his phone. 4:30 a.m. He rolled over, trying to go back to sleep, but the humming continued. It was oddly soothing. He found himself listening to the strange tune until he drifted off again. Over the next few days, Jake noticed more changes in Luna's behavior. She seemed restless, pacing around the apartment when she thought he wasn't looking. Her usual pale skin had taken on a subtle glow, as if she was lit from within. When he mentioned it, she brushed off his concern. I have been using new skincare products, she said, not quite meeting his eyes. They have interesting effects. Luna also started eating even less than usual. Jake found her special containers of food barely touched in the refrigerator. Instead, she seemed to survive on water and those color-changing teas she made. Her movements had become more fluid, almost like she was floating rather than walking. Are you feeling okay? Jake asked one evening, finding her sitting by the window, staring at the moon. You've seemed different lately. Luna turned to him, and Jake was struck by how her eyes seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. I am going through a period of change, she said carefully. It is part of my natural cycle. Natural cycle. All living beings have cycles, Luna replied. Times when their bodies and minds prepare for new phases of existence. I am approaching such a time. Jake nodded, though he wasn't entirely sure what she meant. Maybe it was a cultural thing from her homeland. Different societies had different ways of marking important life transitions. The next morning, Jake woke up to find Luna in the kitchen, but something was wrong. She was gripping the counter with both hands, her knuckles white with strain. Silver hair seemed to be moving on its own, flowing like liquid mercury. Luna? Jake approached her carefully. What's happening? She looked up at him, and Jake nearly stepped back in shock. Her eyes were no longer the violet gold color he'd grown accustomed to. They were pure gold now, glowing with an inner light. That seemed impossible. I am sorry, she whispered, her voice carrying that musical quality he'd noticed before, but stronger now. I thought I had more time. Time for what? Luna, you're scaring me? Should I call a doctor? No. Luna's response was sharp, almost panicked. No doctors. They would not understand. They could not help me. Jake watched in amazement as Luna's skin began to show faint patterns of light, like bioluminescent tattoos, appearing and disappearing across her arms. The humming sound was coming from her now, a vibration that seemed to resonate through the entire apartment. Luna, what's happening to you? She looked at him for a long moment, and Jake saw fear in those golden eyes. Not fear of him, but fear of something else. Something bigger. Jake, she said slowly, I need to tell you something. Something that will change everything between us. Jake pulled out a chair and sat down heavily. Okay? I'm listening. Luna took a deep breath, and when she spoke, her voice carried an otherworldly quality that made Jake's skin tingle. I am not from here. Not from this city. Not from this country. Not from this world. Jake blinked. What do you mean? I am what you would call an alien. My real name is not Luna. I am from a planet called Veothera, many light years from Earth. I came here to study human behavior for my research. Jake stared at her, waiting for her to laugh and tell him it was a joke. When she didn't, he felt his world tilt sideways. You're serious, completely serious. Luna's skin pulsed with soft light as she spoke. I have been living among humans for 6 months, learning your customs, your social structures, your daily routines. You have been unknowingly helping me understand your species. My species, Jake repeated numbly. Right, because you're an alien. I know how this sounds, Luna said, stepping closer. As she did, Jake caught a scent in the air, something like flowers and starlight, if starlight had a smell. But I need you to understand, something is happening to me that I did not expect. What kind of something? Luna's hands fluttered nervously. My people, the Valtharians, we have biological cycles. Every 7 of your Earth years, we go through a period of physical and emotional transformation. It is necessary for our survival and reproduction. Jake felt his face grow warm. Reproduction? Yes, but not in the way you might think. During this time, our bodies produce chemical signals, what you might call pheromones. These signals are meant to attract compatible partners and create emotional bonds. As if to demonstrate her point, Luna's skin brightened, and Jake felt a strange sensation wash over him. The room seemed to sparkle around the edges, and he found himself drawn to her in a way that felt both natural and completely foreign. The problem, Luna continued, is that I miscalculated the timing. This transformation was not supposed to happen for another month. I planned to return to my home planet before it began. But you didn't. No. And now I am trapped here, with you, during the most vulnerable time in my life cycle. Luna's voice carried a note of desperation. Jake, my body is producing chemicals that are designed to affect other Valtharians. But you are human. I do not know what these chemicals will do to you. Jake felt dizzy, though he wasn't sure if it was from the revelation or from whatever Luna was inadvertently releasing into the air. What do you mean? I mean that being near me during this time could change you. The pheromones I am producing are getting stronger every day. They create bonds between individuals, intense emotional and physical connections. In my species, this is natural and expected. But humans were never meant to experience this. Jake looked at Luna, really looked at her. Her skin was now definitely glowing, patterns of light dancing across her face and arms. Her hair moved like it was underwater, and her eyes held depths that seemed to go on forever. This is why you were asking all those questions about human behavior, he said slowly. You were studying us like lab rats. No, Luna said firmly. It started that way, I admit. But Jake, living with you these past months, watching you work, talking with you about your dreams and fears, I began to see humans differently. I began to see you differently. How? Luna's cheeks flushed with golden light. I began to care about you. Not as a research subject, but as a person, friend. Someone who showed me kindness when I needed it most. Jake felt that strange tingling. Sensation again, stronger this time. The air around Luna seemed to shimmer, and he found himself taking a step toward her before he realized what he was doing. Luna, what's happening to me? The pheromones, she said softly. They are beginning to affect you. Jake, I need you to understand, this has never happened before. A Valtharian has never gone through this transformation in the presence of a human. We do not know what will happen. Jake's mind raced. His quiet, mysterious roommate was an alien. She was going through some kind of biological change that was somehow affecting him, too. A week ago, his biggest worry was whether he'd remembered to submit his timesheet at work. How long does this last? He asked. 7 to 10 of your Earth days, Luna replied. But Jake, it will get stronger, much stronger. I may not be able to control it, and you may not be able to resist it. Resist what? Luna's golden eyes met his, and Jake saw something there that made his heart race. The bond, the connection that my body is trying to create. If you stay here with me, if you are exposed to my pheromones for the full cycle, it may change you permanently. Jake sat down, hard in the nearest chair. Change me how? I do not know. This is uncharted territory for both of our species. Luna moved closer, and Jake felt that pull again, like a magnet drawing him toward her. I should leave. I should find somewhere else to go through this transformation. Where would you go? I do not know. But I cannot ask you to risk your humanity. For my sake, Jake looked at this woman, this being who had been sharing his life for months, without him knowing her true nature. She had been studying him, yes, but she had also been his friend. She had listened to his stories about work stress and family drama. She had asked thoughtful questions about his dreams and fears. She had made him feel less alone in the world. "Luna," he said slowly, "I have one question." "Yes, when you were studying human behavior, did you learn anything about loyalty?" Luna's eyes widened. "Yes. Humans often form strong bonds with those they care about. They will sacrifice their own comfort for the well-being of their friends and family." "Then you understand why I'm not going to let you face this alone." "Jake, you do not understand the risks." "Maybe not," Jake interrupted. "But I understand that. You're scared, and you're going through something difficult, and you need someone to help you. That's what friends do." Luna stared at him, her golden eyes filling with something that looked suspiciously like tears. "You would do this for me, even knowing what I am?" Jake stood up, feeling that strange pull toward her growing stronger. "Luna, I've spent months getting to know you. Learning that you're from another planet doesn't change the fact that you're a good person. Or being. Whatever." "The pheromones are getting stronger," Luna warned. "Soon you may not be able to think clearly about this decision, and I'm glad I'm making it now, while I still can." Jake met her glowing eyes. "We'll figure this out together?" Luna's skin pulsed with warm light. "And Jay?" Jake woke up to the sound of his phone buzzing with emergency alerts. Half asleep, he grabbed it from the nightstand and squinted at the screen. The words made his blood run cold. "Severe weather warning, citywide shelter-in-place order. Do not leave your homes." He sat up quickly, checking the weather app. A massive storm system was moving through the area, bringing dangerous winds and flooding. The city had issued a mandatory lockdown for the next 48 to 72 hours. No one was allowed to leave their homes, except for absolute emergencies. "Perfect timing," Jake muttered, remembering Luna's situation. She was already on day 2 of her transformation, and now they were both trapped in the apartment together. He padded to the kitchen to make coffee and found Luna sitting at the table, staring at her phone with a worried expression. Her skin was glowing brighter today, the patterns of light moving across her arms like living artwork. "I suppose you saw the weather alerts," she said without looking up. "Yeah. Looks like we're stuck here for a while." Jake studied her face, noting how her golden eyes seemed to pulse with their own light. "How are you feeling?" "Different," Luna admitted. "The changes are accelerating. I can feel my body chemistry shifting hour by hour." As if to prove her point, the air around her shimmered slightly, and Jake caught that floral metallic scent again. This time, it was stronger, and he felt an immediate response. His heart rate picked up, and he found himself taking a step closer to her before he caught himself. "The pheromones," he said. "They are getting stronger." "I am sorry, Jake. I am trying to control them, but it is like trying to stop breathing." Jake poured himself coffee with hands that weren't quite steady. "What can I do to help?" Luna looked at him with surprise. "You still want to help, even after yesterday's revelation?" "Of course I do. You're going through something scary, and you're stuck with a human who has no idea what he's doing. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." Something in Luna's expression softened. "Your species is remarkable. On my planet, males typically avoid females during this time. They find the process, ... overwhelming." "Well, I'm not from your planet," Jake said, sitting down across from her. "What do you need me to do?" Luna was quiet for a moment, her skin pulsing with soft light. "I need nutrition, but not human food. My body requires specific minerals and compounds during this time." "Brought supplies, but they will not last much longer." "What kind of supplies?" "Elements that do not exist naturally on Earth. I have been synthesizing them, but the process is complex." Jake nodded, though he didn't really understand. "Okay, what else?" "Temperature regulation. My body heat is increasing, and I need to stay." "Cool. Also, I may become sensitive to light and sound as the transformation progresses. I can handle that. We'll keep the air conditioning on, close the curtains, keep things quiet." Luna stared at him. "You make it sound so simple. Maybe it is. You need help? I can help. We'll figure out the complicated stuff as we go." Over the next few hours, Jake found himself adapting to a completely new reality. He helped Luna move her bed away from the windows and hung thick blankets over the curtains to block out light. He turned down the thermostat and set up fans in her room. The hardest part was dealing with the pheromones. Every time he was near Luna, Jake felt that strange pull, like invisible threads connecting them. His senses seemed sharper, colors looked more vivid, sounds carried more meaning, and every breath felt charged with electricity. "Is this what you meant about the effects on humans?" he asked, finding Luna in the living room, pacing restlessly. "Yes." "How do you feel?" Jake considered the question. "It's like I'm seeing everything through a different lens, like the world is more tense." That is the bonding response beginning. "Jake, I need you to understand. If this continues, if you are exposed to my pheromones for the full cycle, it may create a permanent connection between us." "What kind of connection?" Luna's cheeks flushed with golden light. "Emotional, physical. Mental Valtharians who bond during this time become linked for life. They can sense each other's emotions, share thoughts and feelings. It is beautiful between my people, but for a human. It might be too much," Jake finished. "I do not know. This has never happened before." Jake looked at Luna, really looked at her. Her alien nature was becoming more obvious by the hour. Skin glowed like she had stars under her flesh, her hair moved like liquid silver, and her eyes held depths that seemed to go on forever. She was beautiful in a way that was almost painful to look at. "Luna," he said carefully, "can I ask you?" "Something, of course." "When you were studying humans, did you learn about our capacity for adaptation?" Luna tilted her head. "Yes, humans are remarkably adaptable. You can survive in almost any environment, adjust to new circumstances quickly. Maybe you shouldn't. Assume I can't handle this? Jake, you do not understand the intensity. Maybe not. But I understand that you're scared and you're trying to protect me, and I appreciate that. But I'm a grown man, and I can make my own decisions." Luna's skin pulsed brighter. "The pheromones are influencing your judgment. Are they? Or are they? Just making me more honest about what I was already feeling?" Luna went very still. "What do you mean?" Jake felt his face grow warm. "I mean that I've been attracted to you since the day we met. I mean that I look forward to coming home because I know you'll be here. I mean that when you go away on your research trips, the apartment feels empty." Jake, double quotes, "I know you're not human. I know this is complicated. But my feelings for you aren't. Just because of alien pheromones, they were there before." Luna's eyes widened, and for a moment, the glow in her skin flickered like a candle in the wind. "You cannot mean that." "Why not?" "Because I am not even your species. Because I have been deceiving you for months. Because I am dangerous to you right now." No. Jake stood up and moved closer to her. The pull between them was stronger now, like a current running through the air. "Luna, do you care about me?" "That is not the question. It's the only question that matters. Do you care about me?" Luna's composure cracked. "It's more than I should. More than is safe for either of us." "Then we'll figure out the rest together." The air between them seemed to crackle with energy. Luna's skin was glowing brighter, and Jake could feel something changing in himself too. His thoughts felt clearer somehow, more focused. He was aware of Luna's emotions as if they were his own. Her fear, her longing, her desperate attempt to protect him from something she didn't understand. "Jake, the bond is forming," Luna whispered. "I can feel it. Can you?" Jake nodded. He could feel something connecting them, invisible threads weaving between their minds and hearts. Is it supposed to feel like this? I do not know. Valtharian bonds are different. This is new. New doesn't have to mean bad. Luna reached out hesitantly, her glowing fingers barely touching his hand. The moment their skin made contact, Jake felt a jolt of electricity run through him. It's not painful, but intense. He could suddenly sense Luna's emotions more clearly. Her amazement, her fear, her growing affection for him. "This is impossible," Luna breathed. "Maybe impossible is just another word for unprecedented," Jake said. Intertwining their fingers, Luna's skin pulsed with warm light where they touched. "Jake, if we continue down this path, there will be no going back. The bond will be permanent. Are you trying to scare me away? I am trying to give you a choice. It's a real choice, before the pheromones make it for you. Jake looked at their joined hands at the way Luna's light seemed to dance across his skin. He thought about his quiet, ordinary life before Luna arrived. His predictable routines, his comfortable solitude, his carefully ordered world. Then he thought about the past few months, Luna's curiosity about human behavior, her gentle questions about his dreams and fears, her presence that had made his apartment feel like a home. He thought about her bravery in coming to an alien world to study a species she didn't understand, her kindness in trying to protect him even now. Luna, he said softly, I've been making careful, safe choices my whole life. Maybe it's time for a dangerous one. Luna's golden eyes searched his face. You are certain? I'm certain that I want to be here with you. I'm certain that I care about you. Everything else we'll figure out as we go. Hello. Luna's skin blazed with light, and Jake felt the bond between them strengthen. Whatever was coming, whatever this transformation would bring, he knew they would face it together. His quiet life was about to become something extraordinary, and for the first time in years, Jake felt truly alive. Jake woke up to a world that didn't make sense anymore. The apartment was filled with a soft, pulsing light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Colors were more vivid than they had any right to be, the blue of his coffee mug looked like liquid sapphire, and the green of the plant by the window seemed to glow with its own inner fire. He sat up slowly, his head spinning. Luna was nowhere to be seen, but he could feel her presence like a warm current running through his veins. The bond between them had grown stronger overnight, and now he could sense her emotions as clearly as his own. She was afraid. Jake found her in the kitchen. She was barely recognizable as the woman who had moved in months ago. Her skin blazed with patterns of light that shifted and moved like living galaxies. Her silver hair flowed around her like liquid starlight, defying gravity. Her eyes were pure gold now, glowing with an intensity that should have been blinding, but somehow wasn't. Luna. Jake's voice came out rough and strange. She turned to him, and Jake felt a wave of emotion wash over him, her relief. Her fear, her desperate love for him all mixed together in a cocktail that made his knees weak. Jake, I am so sorry, she whispered, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in his bones. I cannot control it anymore. The transformation has reached its peak. Jake looked around the apartment and realized that everything looked different. The air itself seemed to shimmer with possibility. Sounds carried weight and color. The hum of the refrigerator was a ribbon of blue light. The traffic outside painted streaks of gold across his vision. What's happening to me? He asked. The bond is completing itself, Luna said, her voice heavy. With guilt, my pheromones have saturated the environment. You are experiencing synesthesia, emotional amplification, sensory enhancement. This is how my people experience the world during bonding. Jake reached out to touch the wall and gasped. He could feel the building's structure, sense the lives of the people in other apartments, feel the pulse of the city around them like a living heartbeat. This is incredible, he breathed. Jake, you do not understand. This may be permanent. Have changed you possibly forever, and I do not know how to undo it.
Ow.
Jake looked at Luna, really looked at her. In her alien form, she was more beautiful than anything he had ever imagined. But beneath the otherworldly radiance, he could see her pain, her fear for what she had done to him. Luna, he said softly, look at me. She met his eyes, her golden gaze shimmering with unshed tears. Do you remember what you told me about Valtharian males? How they abandoned females during this time? Yes, I'm still here. Luna's light flickered, but at what cost? I have stolen your humanity from you. You. Jake moved closer, and the space between them crackled with energy. Or have you shown me what it means to truly connect with another being? You cannot know that. The pheromones are affecting your judgment. Stop, Jake interrupted gently. I need you to listen to me. Really listen. She went quiet, her skin pulsing with nervous light. I can feel what you're feeling right now, Jake said. Your guilt, your fear, your love for me. But I can also feel something else. Your amazement. Part of you is fascinated by what's happening between us. Luna's eyes widened. How did you? Because we're connected now. Really connected. And I know that the scientist in you is recording every moment of this unprecedented event. Luna's composure cracked slightly. It is remarkable. The neural pathways that are forming between us. The way your human consciousness is adapting to Valtharian sensory input. It should be impossible. But it's happening. Yes, it is happening. And it is beautiful. And I am terrified that I am destroying you. Jake reached out and took her glowing hands in his. The moment their skin touched, the world exploded into sensation. Could feel Luna's heartbeat as if it were his own, could sense the flow of alien biochemistry through her veins, could taste the starlight that seemed to run in her blood. Luna, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos of sensation around them. I need you to understand something. This thing between us, this bond, it's not just your biology forcing itself on me. What do you mean? I mean, I choose this. I choose you. Biology or no biology, pheromones or no pheromones, alien or human, I choose to be connected to you. Luna's skin blazed brighter. Jake, you cannot possibly understand what you are saying, can't I? Jake smiled, feeling the bond between them. Pulse with warmth. Luna, for the first time in my life, I feel truly alive. I can see colors that don't have names, hear music and everyday sounds, feel the emotions of the person I care about most in the world. You haven't destroyed my humanity. You've expanded it. Tears of pure light began to flow down Luna's cheeks. But what if it hurts you? What if your human body cannot handle the changes? Then we'll deal with that together, Luna. Right now, in this moment, I have never felt more like myself. The air around them began to pulse with synchronized light, their heartbeats falling into rhythm. Jake could feel Luna's amazement, her growing hope, her desperate desire to believe that this impossible thing between them could actually work. There is something else, Luna whispered, something I have not told you. What? If the bond completes fully, if we accept it completely, it will change both of us. You will gain some of my abilities, and I will become more human. We will be something new, something that has never existed before. Jake felt his heart race. What kind of abilities? Enhanced senses? Limited telepathy? The ability to see beyond the normal spectrum of light? But Jake, the change is irreversible. There would be no going back to your old life. Jake looked around the apartment that had been his home, thought about his quiet job, his orderly routine, his carefully controlled existence. Then he looked at Luna, blazing with alien light and love and fear, offering him a choice that would change everything. Luna, he said, my old life was just existing. This feels like living, you are certain. I've never been more certain of anything. Luna's eyes closed, and when she opened them again, they were blazing with determination. Then let us see what we can become together. She stepped closer, and Jake felt the bond between them surge with power, the apartment filled with light. As their connection deepened, their consciousness beginning to merge and separate and merge again like two rivers flowing together. Jake felt himself changing, felt new pathways opening in his mind, felt his perception of the world expanding beyond anything he had thought possible. And through it all, he felt Luna's presence beside him, her love and her courage and her wonder at what they were creating together. Whatever they were becoming it together, and that made all the difference in the universe. Jake opened his eyes to a world transformed, the morning sunlight streaming through the apartment windows. Looked different now. He could see layers of light that had always been there, but invisible to human eyes. Blues and purples danced alongside, the familiar yellows and whites, creating a symphony of color that took his breath away. He sat up slowly, marveling at how different he felt. His body hummed with energy, and his mind felt clearer than it ever had before. He could sense Luna before he saw her, could feel her contentment like a warm glow in his chest. She was sitting by the window, looking more human than she had in days. Her skin still carried a subtle luminescence, but the intense alien glow had settled into something softer. Her hair fell in normal waves around her shoulders, though it still caught the light in unusual ways. Her eyes had returned to their violet gold color, but now Jake could see the depths in them that he'd missed before. "Good morning," she said, turning to him with a smile that lit up her entire face. "Morning," Jake replied, noticing that his voice carried a subtle musical quality now. "How are you feeling? Different, better, complete?" Luna stood and walked over to him, and Jake marveled at how he could sense her emotions as clearly as his own. "How are you?" Jake took inventory of himself. He felt stronger, more aware, more connected to everything around him. When he looked at Luna, he could see the patterns of light that still moved beneath her skin, could feel the alien biochemistry that made her who she was. "I feel like myself," he said, "but more so, if that makes sense." "It makes perfect sense." Luna reached out and took his hand, and Jake felt their connection pulse with warmth. "The bond has stabilized. You're linked now permanently." "Any regrets?" Jake asked, though he could already feel through their connection that she had none. "Only that I waited so long to tell you the truth." Luna squeezed his hand. "Jake, what we have created is unprecedented. My people need to know about this." "Your people?" "I contacted my home planet last night while you were sleeping. The response has been ... intense." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Good intense, or bad intense?" "Both. My research supervisor is fascinated by the implications of a successful human-Valtharian bond. The Council of Sciences wants to study us, but some of the traditionalists are concerned about the mixing of species." Jake felt a flicker of worry. "Are you in trouble?" "No. If anything, I am being hailed as a pioneer. This bond proves that connections can form between species that are far more different than anyone imagined. It opens up possibilities for interspecies cooperation that we never thought possible." Jake smiled. "So your doctoral thesis just got a lot more interesting." Considerably, Luna's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Though I suspect my advisor will have some questions about my research methods." They spent the morning exploring their new abilities. Jake discovered he could now see the electromagnetic fields around electronic devices, could sense the emotions of people in nearby apartments, and could communicate with Luna through thought when they were touching Luna. Meanwhile, found that her connection to Jake had given her a deeper understanding of human emotions. She could now experience things like nostalgia and irony in ways that had been foreign to her before. "It is remarkable," she said, as they sat together on the couch, "how much more complex human feelings are than I realized. Your species experiences such rich emotional landscapes. Your species sees the world in ways we never dreamed of." Jake replied, "I can see energy patterns in everything now. The plants, the walls, even the air itself has structure I'd never noticed before. Do you miss your old perception?" Jake considered the question. He thought about his life before Luna, the comfortable routine, the predictable days. Then he looked at the world through his new senses, saw the hidden beauty in everything around him, felt the deep connection to the woman he loved. "No, he said firmly, this feels like coming home to a part of myself I never knew existed." Their peaceful morning was interrupted by Jake's phone ringing. His boss's name appeared on the screen, and Jake realized he hadn't checked his work email in. "Days, I should probably take this," he said, answering the call. "Jake, thank goodness you're okay. With the storm and the lockdown, we weren't sure if everyone made it through all right." "I'm fine. Thanks for checking. Sorry I haven't been online much. Don't worry about it. Emergency situations take priority. Are you ready to get back to work tomorrow?" Jake looked at Luna, who was listening with an amused expression. Through their bond, he could feel her encouragement, her certainty that he could handle whatever came next. "Actually," Jake said, "I might need to make some adjustments to my work situation. I've had some significant life changes recently." "After?" He hung up. Luna raised an eyebrow. "Life changes?" "Well, I figured dating an alien researcher might require some schedule flexibility." Luna laughed, the sound like music. "Is that what we were doing? Dating? I don't know what else to call a permanent psychic bond with someone I'm crazy about. In Valtharian culture, we would call it soul weaving," Luna said softly. "The joining of two beings into something greater than the sum of their parts. I like that better than dating." As the day went on, they began to plan their future together. Luna would continue her research, but now with Jake as a willing participant and co-investigator. They would document their bond, study its effects, and explore what it meant for both of their species. There will be challenges, Luna warned. Not everyone will accept what we have become. Some humans might fear you for your new abilities. Some Valtharians might see our bond as contamination of our species. Let them, Jake said. We know what we have is real. We know it's beautiful. That's what matters. That evening, they stood together on their apartment balcony, looking up. At the stars, Jake could now see things in the night sky that had been invisible to him before. Distant galaxies. Nebulae. The subtle dance of planets and other systems. Which one is yours? He asked. Luna pointed to a cluster of stars near the constellation. Andromeda. There, the blue star with the 3 companions. Jake stared at the distant light, trying to imagine the world where Luna had been born. The people who had raised her. The civilization that had produced someone brave enough to travel across the galaxy to study another species. Do you think we'll ever visit there? He asked. Perhaps? My people are very interested in meeting you. You would be the first human to ever set foot on Valthera. And you're the first Valtharian to form a bond with a human. We are pioneers, Luna agreed. Explorers of uncharted territory? Jake pulled her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit against his side. How their heartbeats synchronized when they touched. Luna, he said, I need to ask you something. Yes. Before all this started, before the transformation and the bond and everything, did you ever imagine you could fall in love with a human? Luna was quiet for a long moment, her gaze fixed on the stars. No, she said finally. Love was not part of my research parameters. It was not something I expected or planned for, but living with you, watching you work and dream and hope. Seeing your kindness and your curiosity, somewhere along the way, the researcher became the subject. I stopped studying human emotions and started experiencing them. When did you know? The night you found me making tea at 3 in the morning and sat with me, even though you had to work early the next day. You did not ask why I was awake or complain about the disruption to your routine, simply sat with me and shared the silence. That was when I realized that humans are capable of a type of love that my people do not have. Unconditional acceptance. Jake felt his eyes grow warm. And now? Now I know that love is not bound by species or biology or the constraints of what should be possible. Love creates its own possibilities. They stood together in comfortable silence, 2 beings from different worlds who had found something precious in each other. The future stretched out before them, full of unknowns and challenges and adventures they couldn't yet imagine. But they would face it all together, bound not just by alien biology but by choice, by commitment, by the kind of love that transcends every boundary the universe can create. Jake looked up at the vast expanse of stars, Luna's distant homeworld, at the infinite possibilities that waited among the lights in the darkness. His quiet, ordinary life had become extraordinary, and he wouldn't trade it for anything in any galaxy. Ready for the adventure? Luna asked softly. Jake smiled, feeling their bond pulse with shared excitement and anticipation. With you? Ready for anything. And as they stood there together under the alien stars, both of them knew that this was just the beginning.